In November 2020, Microsoft and Sony launched the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, marking the start of a new generation of gaming. 4 years later, it's time to take a step back and ask how well have those consoles held up, are they still worth it in 2024 and beyond, and most importantly, which console is better choice for you and which is winning this generation. I'll share my personal thoughts and experiences after using both consoles for a while, and I'll also provide everything you need to know about each platform. Let's start with the quality and design. Microsoft and Sony took completely different approaches. Microsoft went for a simple, functional, and compact rectangular design for the Xbox Series X, prioritizing practicality. Sony, on the other hand, went for a bold, sleek, and futuristic design for PlayStation 5, resulting in a console that's arguably beautiful but less compact. The PS5 is 9cm taller and 11cm deeper than Xbox Series X, and both consoles weigh about the same. Size and weight, though, are rarely a deciding factor since most people place their consoles in one spot and leave them there. Both also feature distinct lighting styles when booting, running, or going into sleep mode. Choosing between the two designs largely comes down to personal preference and how they fit into your living room setup. Both consoles can be placed vertically or horizontally, although the PS5 design makes changing a placement a bit trickier. It requires using a special stand that needs to be adjusted depending on the orientation. As for the build quality, both consoles feel sturdy and well made. I've never had issues with either in my years of use. Even the PS5 glossy finish, which is prone to fingerprint smudges, isn't a major concern since you rarely handle the consoles directly, with everything controllable from the controller. The actual hardware mostly just stand there like a piece of furniture. Both consoles have released several revisions since their launch. The PS5 debuted with two models, one with a disk drive and one without. The disk drive version features a slightly different asymmetrical design. While both PS5 models shared the same tech specs at launch, the diskless version of Xbox, called the Xbox Series S, had a different hardware. It comes with a lower specs, does not support native 4K resolution, and features an even more compact design, making it the smallest console of the current generation. A bit later, Xbox also released Xbox Series X All Digital, which keeps the original configuration but doesn't have a disk drive, which makes it a bit cheaper. Sony also has introduced two new models. The PS5 Slim, which has the same specs but a smaller form factor, and recently released PS5 Pro, which offers higher specs and a slightly updated design similar to PS5 Slim. To be fair, Xbox has hinted at working on a prototype handheld console within Xbox family, but it's far from an official announcement, let alone a release date. Personally, I don't think the Xbox Series S is worth considering at this stage of the console generation, but the PS Pro could be an option to explore, though that's a topic for another video. Keep in mind that PS Pro comes with a hefty price tag, so it's up to debate whether it's worth it. When it comes to technical specifications, I don't think it's worth diving too deeply into the numbers, but they are on the screen if you are curious. Both consoles have very similar specs, with the Xbox having slightly faster hardware when measured purely on performance scores. Both consoles have the same number of ports, but PS5 have an additional USB-C on the front and Xbox doesn't. Xbox also have a plug-and-play proprietary slot for an external SSD, while PS5 only has internal SSD slot for expandable storage. That said, raw technical specs have never been the strongest selling point of the gaming consoles. Even in 2020, those consoles were roughly equivalent to mid-tier gaming PC. And that gap has only widened today. However, people don't buy consoles for raw power alone. Consoles are more about optimization, a well-integrated ecosystem, and their straightforward, user and couch-friendly experience. Controllers, on the other hand, play a crucial role in your gaming experience, so let's compare the two. Microsoft took an "if it isn't broken, don't fix it" approach with the Xbox controller. They've barely changed it across generations, keeping a familiar design that works well and familiar for people who used them in the previous generations. Sony, on the other hand, took a bold step within the PlayStation 5 controller. They've completely redesigned it, even renaming it to DualSense. It's packed with innovative haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, adding new level of immersion to games. Those features allow developers to create unique tactile experiences such as feeling the tension of a bowstring in a Horizon or the feeling of different terrains in Astrobot. Additionally, Sony kept the touchpad and motion controls introduced in PS4 controller, features that are completely absent in the Xbox controller. After extensive use of both, I prefer DualSense anytime. While not all developers take advantage of the haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, when Sony's first-party studios do, the results are incredible. Gaming is about immersing the player, and these features significantly enhance that feeling. Overall, the PS5 controller feels more innovative and premium in hand, whereas the Xbox controller, though high quality, comes across as more straightforward and practical option. One thing though I do prefer about the Xbox controller is its use of regular AAA batteries or rechargeables instead of built-in battery. It's easy to swap out batteries mid-game, and I've even stocked up on them and charging docks from IKEA. With the DualSense you rely on charging the internal battery. While its 10-15 hours battery life is decent, it can be frustrating if you forget to charge it in the night before and find yourself out of battery during the play. When it comes to the interface, both platforms take a pretty similar approach in terms of user experience. You get your list of installed and recent games, easy access to the store and variety of settings. But I think Sony takes the UI design more seriously. The PlayStation interface feels sleek, polished and visually appealing with smooth animations and satisfying sounds. Xbox, on the other hand, leans more into Windows style design with simpler elements and less attention to detail. It works, but it doesn't feel as polished. I also find the Xbox settings and overlay menus more confusing to navigate compared to PS5's, which are more straightforward. That doesn't mean the PS5 UI is perfect. It can be confusing or have unnecessary elements at times too. One area where I think PlayStation also shines is its trophy system, though it might be subjective. While the actual achievements in games are often similar between the two consoles, there's just something so satisfying about earning a platinum trophy. The little trophies icons make them feel valuable, almost like a little reward for your effort. Xbox achievements by comparison feel more like an item on a list, and achieving 100% don't give me the same sense of accomplishment as platinum trophy. One feature where Xbox stands out compared to PlayStation is the quick resume feature. On Xbox, you can suspend 5 to 6 games simultaneously, allowing you to jump back into gameplay almost instantly. In comparison, the PS5 has a similar feature, but it only supports one game at a time, which makes a noticeable difference. With Xbox, I honestly can't remember the last time I had to fully relaunch a game. It's an incredibly seamless and time-saving experience that enhances the overall usability of the console. The most important factor for any console is, of course, the games. And after 4 years of this console generation, this is where the difference between the PS5 and Xbox Series X really stand out. So let's finally talk about the games. Sony has always had the upper hand when it comes to exclusive games, thanks to its incredible internal studios. Iconic names like Naughty Dog, Santa Monica Studio, Guerrilla Games, Insomniac Games and others have consistently delivered some of the best games in the industry. Out of the top 20 highest rated games on PS5 according to OpenCritic, 10 are either completely exclusive to PlayStation or available only on PS5 and PC. Xbox, however, only one game in the top 20, Forza Horizon 5, is exclusive, and it came out back in 2021. Microsoft has been trying to catch up by investing heavily in studio acquisitions, snapping up potential huge names like Obsidian, Bethesda and Activision Blizzard, but so far we've seen more promises and announcements than actual results. We had some big launches, but in my opinion most of them flopped. Xbox isn't completely lacking great exclusives though. Forza 5, Hellblade 2 and Halo Infinite are all strong titles, and there are exciting timed exclusives like Hi-Fi Rush, but we are still waiting for a true banger that can sell the console. When it comes to third-party games, this generation has been much more balanced. Most developers release their games on both consoles simultaneously. However, there are instances where PlayStation takes priority because of its significantly larger player base. For example, Baldur's Gate 3 launched on PS5 several months before its Xbox version, which is only just coming out next month. Both consoles are also backward compatible with their previous generations, so if you are upgrading, you won't lose access to your favorite games. Xbox has an excellent legacy of great games from the past, but Sony's exclusives library remains hard to beat. If you are a fan of a single-player, rich story, AAA experiences and love franchises like God of War, Uncharted, The Last of Us, Spider-Man, Horizon, or Ratchet & Clank, the PlayStation 5 is the obvious choice. Another major part of today's gaming experience is subscription services. Both PlayStation and Xbox offer their own ecosystems with PS Plus and Xbox Game Pass. Let's break them down. Xbox Game Pass comes in 3 tiers: Core, Standard, and Ultimate. Core gives you access to a small library of around 25 games and enables online multiplayer. Standard expands the library to about 350 games in total, and Ultimate offers everything in the standard tier plus access to day one releases from Microsoft Studios and partners, EA Play membership, and other small perks. PlayStation Plus also offers 3 tiers: Essential, Extra, and Premium. Essential provides a monthly rotation of downloadable games, usually 3 cloud saves, and access to online multiplayer. Extra gives access to a broader catalog of around 400 games, including titles from Ubisoft Plus Classics membership. And Premium adds another 150 games with the Classics catalog. It's mostly older titles. Both services also include cloud gaming options at their highest tier, allowing you to stream console games to other devices. Cloud on both consoles can work well, but you will need a very stable internet connection, preferably cable, to reduce the response time. Game Pass and PS Plus have grown and evolved over time, each with their own ups and downs. Xbox Game Pass had an edge early on with a more robust library since it launched earlier, but PS5 had caught up, offering a comparable service now. For fun, in line with previous comparison, I took the top 10 games available on each platform using OpenCritic scores. Of those, only 2 were available on Game Pass, while 4 were on PS Plus. Well, this isn't a definitive test. It does suggest that PS Plus might have a slightly more quality titles. Additionally, PS Plus is cheaper in the long run thanks to an annual pricing plans, which Game Pass currently doesn't have. A key advantage of Game Pass Ultimate is access to day one releases. This feature is still a great way to try out new games at launch. Upcoming titles like Stalker 2, Avowed, Indiana Jones, 33 Immortals, and even the most anticipated by me personally, but very elusive Hollow Knight Silksong have been announced as day one releases on Game Pass. Both Xbox and PlayStation have their own mobile apps, and honestly both are pretty solid. With both apps, you can stay in touch with friends, check out your game catalog, download games remotely, track trophies, browse the store, and even keep up with the reward point system, which, to be honest, are fairly average on both platforms. When it comes to accessories, there are a huge variety on both consoles. You've got headphones, charging stations, rechargeable batteries, stickers, customizable plates, pro and regular gamepads, but the biggest difference between the two is PlayStation VR 2. If you're into VR gaming, PlayStation 5 is the only console that offers a dedicated solution. It's clear that Sony is putting a lot of effort into VR as a part of their long-term strategy, so we can expect even more titles and updates in the future. They even released a PC adapter for the headset, making it even more useful device. Technically, you can play some games on Meta headset using Game Pass Cloud, but it's not the same. Sony is miles ahead when it comes to VR gaming. Here are where the prices stand as of November 2024 for both consoles and their revisions. Both consoles are often on discounts, so you might want to compare prices in your local stores. Of course, with Black Friday coming up, you might see even bigger discounts. I will also leave some affiliate links below for you if you want to use them and help the channel in the process. So what's the final verdict? Choosing between the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X ultimately depends on what matters most to you as a gamer. The first thing to consider is whether you already own a previous generation console. Since both consoles support backward compatibility, sticking with the same ecosystem allows you to carry over your library of old games, unless, of course, your goal is to explore a new ecosystem and lineup of games. Another important factor is what your friends are using. If you are planning to play online multiplayer, choosing the same console as your peers makes sense, as a cross-platform compatibility is still limited and only works with a handful of games. More general, I think PlayStation is leading this generation. Sony offers better innovation with things like VR headset and incredible third-party studios and the newly launched PS Pro for graphic-focused gamers. It's clear that Sony has a strong focus on the gaming industry, and the popularity of their consoles only adds to the appeal. Xbox, on the other hand, is putting in serious effort to catch up, is an especially great choice for PC gamers, as its Game Pass library and games mostly work across both platforms. Microsoft is heavily investing in cloud gaming, signaling that their long-term strategy might lean more towards ecosystems rather than physical consoles. In the end, both consoles are incredible, and we are witnessing a fantastic generation of gaming. No matter what decision you make, you'll get a fantastic device and an awesome experience. I've personally enjoyed both consoles over the years, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Which one do you prefer and why? Let me know in the comments below. Keep playing, take care, and I'll see you soon.